This is the first of 3 or 4 tests I'm planning on doing with the 9mm out of a carbine versus out of a pistol. There's 12 or 15 loads in all that I want to try. That's just too many to try and do all in one sitting. A long time ago, I started chronographing loads through an old Camp 9 carbine I had that I've since sold, just to see what difference the longer barrel made. Some loads got a big boost from the longer barrel and others didn't get much at all. Generally speaking, lighter bullets got a higher percentage of boost, which is totally intuitive, not really any surprise. A year or two ago, I sold the Camp 9 and figured I ought to go ahead and clock some out of my newer gun, and just to see if it gets about what the same the Camp 9 did. I would assume so, but you know what they say about assuming. I'll point out a few examples of what the Camp 9 got as we go along, but just for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of depth on past tests. I just want to see what we get from this newer gun that I've never clocked any rounds out of. And because this involves numerous loads fired out of 2 different guns, I'm going to be just doing a couple of rounds of each load from each gun. Otherwise, it would drag out just interminably. You'll see the chronograph numbers the same time I do, and as we get them, I'll enter them into a spreadsheet on my laptop. And after clocking all the loads, I'll put the laptop in front of the camera, showing the individual shot results, the average velocity from each gun, and the difference in velocity and energy from the rifle versus the pistol. These are the loads I'm trying today. 3 of the 5 are ones that I've chronographed previously out of the Camp 9. Let me get in here. First one is generic arm score 115 grain ball. I've never clocked this out of any gun, but it's standard 115 grain 9mm full metal jacket. This is Winchester Western USA generic 115 grain jacket at hollow point. This one was always a surprise out of the Camp 9. Out of the Camp 9, this thing averaged just a hair over 1,500 feet per second, which really surprised me. I'm curious to see what it does out of this gun. Oop, that box is backwards. This third one is the Federal 9B That's the old Illinois State Police load. It's 115 grain plus P+. It's been out since the 80s. This one was consistently the second fastest load I ever clocked out of the Camp 9. I don't remember the exact velocity. It averaged 1,600 and some feet per second. We'll just see what it does out of this one. This I couldn't find the box for. This is carbine Pow'rBall. Anyone familiar with it will recognize it. It's 100 grain plus P. And it was consistently the fastest load I ever clocked out of the Camp 9. It, believe it or not, it averaged more than 1,800 feet per second out of the Camp 9. 1820 something, if I remember right. This other load I've never clocked either. It's Underwood 90 grain plus P. They claim 1475 feet per second from a pistol. We'll see if we get that. I'm trying them out of a Glock 19 and the CMMG Resolute, a 16-inch barrel. And again, as I get the numbers, there'll be a little bit of a pause between loads just because I'm entering the numbers on the spreadsheet as we go along. Okay, this is the Arms Corps 115 grain full metal jacket, generic stuff. 1101 and 1116. Let me enter them into the laptop here real quick. Well, now, same load from the carbine. The Arms Corps 115, 1322, 1322 again. Is that correct? I'll grab another round of that. Make sure it's not a bad read. That seems awfully coincidental. Okay, one more. Same Arms Corps 115 ball. 1369. Okay. 1, 3, 2, 2, 6, 9. And of course I entered them wrong, so bear with me while I fix this. Okay. So next up, the generic Winchester white box 115 grain jacketed hollow point. First from the Glock 19, 1184, 1170. Okay. Same white box hollow point from the 16-inch carbine. 1440. 1367, not as much as the Camp 9. Next up, the 9B PLE. This generally averaged right around 1300 from the Glock 19. You know, things may be slower today because it's colder out. It's it's in the mid 60s, which is kind of cool for Arkansas. But Federal 9B PLE from the Glock 19, 1263, 1201. And the 9B PLE from the carbine. Whoa, okay, error. 1570. Grab one more of them real quick. That error too that showed up means the bullet wasn't detected by either the front or the rear photo sensor. I forget which one that is. One more time. 9B PLE from the carbine. What in the world? Doesn't get it this time. I may give up on this one. 9B PLE from the carbine. One last attempt. Interesting. Okay. Try one here. This is the carbine 100 grain Pow'rBall from the Glock 19. 1505, good lord. 1484. Okay, now the carbine Pow'rBall from the carbine. 1816, good lord. Another error. Pow'rBall from the carbine again. 1812, so 1816 and 1812. That is fast for a 9mm. Last up here is that 90 grain Extreme Defender Plus P from the Glock 19. Well, good grief, y'all. 1509. And 1460. Same thing again. Sorry about all these pauses in the middle. I wasn't expecting all those chronograph errors. Okay, this is the Plus P 90 grain Underwood Extreme Defender from the carbine. Come on, y'all. Okay. Back up a little bit. The sun's starting to create shadows, and that may be playing hob with the light sensors. A little lower. Again, the 90 grain Plus P Underwood from the carbine. Maybe. I'm pretty curious to see what this one does. It's such a light bullet at just 90 grains. $18.13. 1728. Not as high as I expected. Okay. Again, sorry about all the chronograph errors. This is actually my first time using this chronograph. My old shooting crony F1 recently died. So I'm trying this new one. It's very sad. He will be missed. There you go. Okay. So you can see there, the arms core averaged 1108 from the pistol and 1345 from the rifle. And for a non-plus P standard weight load, 47% increase in muzzle energy, 47% more powerful just due to the 16-inch barrel from a very mediocre milquetoast load. The Winchester jacketed hollow point, the white box generic stuff, 1177 average from the pistol, 1403 from the rifle. That thing averaged, I want to say 1505, yeah, 1505 from the Camp 9. Again, maybe that's just a difference in temperature today or something, but that's still awfully good. That's over 500 foot-pounds from generic white box, basically Members Mark or, you know, store brand ammo, basically. All right, and think about that, 502 foot-pounds from the carbine with that low-end generic ammo. That's more powerful than most 10mm handgun loads. If you look up the numbers, most of them run in the high fours, 450, 470, something like that. So that's quite a jump for a milquetoast load like this. Now the 9B PLE, 1232 from the Glock, 1570 from the carbine. But again, look at the energy numbers. We went from 387 foot-pounds of energy to 629. Okay, a 62% increase in power just from shooting it out of a longer barrel. Carbine Pow'rBall wasn't as fast out of this gun as it typically was out of the, well, it was close, I guess, out of the Camp 9. 1494 out of the Glock 19 and 1814 out of the carbine. So think about that, over 1,800 feet per second from a 9mm factory load, no less, okay? 730 foot-pounds of energy. That's like a really good 41 Magnum load or a low to medium end 44 Magnum load out of a factory 9mm loading. The last one, I've never even fired this round before, much less clocked any of them. This Extreme Defender 90 grain, I was pretty curious about it. 1484 out of the handgun, 1770 out of the carbine, so 186 feet per second gain. But again, we're over 600 feet per second here. I'm sorry, 600 foot-pounds of energy with that load. That's very, very good. That buries a 10mm. So it's just something to think about. That you add that longer barrel on there, and some loads don't get much of a boost at all. You run a standard pressure, 147 grain bullet, you don't get much velocity increase at all. But you run a lighter, faster bullet, and it's surprising what they can do. Now, also keep in mind that increasing the velocity of a load doesn't inherently and automatically increase its terminal performance, all right? An over-exaggerated example of this to make the point would be, say, loading 223 ammo with bullets intended for 22 rimfire. They're just not made for it, and they wouldn't stand up to it, and they wouldn't perform well out of it. A reverse example would be 300 Blackout. A lot of the really better defensive loads in 300 Blackout are using bullets that were meant as varmint bullets in 308, 30-06, the higher velocity carbine or calibers. But at the lower velocity of the 300 Blackout, the bullets penetrate more than they do out of the faster cartridges or calibers, and they penetrate deeper and are better defensive loads than you would think from their original intent. Okay, so the fact that we're hitting 41 Magnum and close to 44 Magnum power on some of these does not mean that that load would be a good choice for hunting the same kind of game that a 41 or 44 Magnum would be, all right? The main point of this is just to see how much actual power is there, what it's capable of as far as velocity and energy. Once you know that, now a person could take that information and choose a bullet that's appropriate for that velocity and make the most of it. And keep in mind, these are all factory loads, all right? If a person hand-loaded, which I do, but I wanted to keep this, you know, what's the word, repeatable and unbiased, I guess. I'm sticking with all factory loads, at least for now. But if a person were hand-loading these bullets, like get a hold of some of these extreme penetrator, extreme defender bullets, or some kind of solid monolithic copper bullet that can take being driven to those velocities, and loaded them with a slower burning powder to make better use of that long barrel, they could definitely do better. I don't know how much better, but maybe we'll find out someday. So anyway, I hope you find this interesting. I'll try to get some additional ones done and put up soon. I've got 8 more loads at least that I want to try, so I figured I'd break it up into 3 videos instead of trying to do them all at once, because that would get really long. Also, yeah, I know I need to redo the Can Can song on the musical targets. There was a microphone issue on that one that makes the sound horrible. Sorry about that. I'll try to get done, and I'll try to get that done in the near future too. So anyway, hope someone finds this information helpful, and appreciate it.